Hello all. Pharma manufacturing is always in search for cost optimization. And today, from Veolia, Mr. Santosh Hegde is going to share with us about latest technologies in optimizing water consumption. Sir, thank you so much for talking to Pharma India Magazine. Can you tell us how water conservation will impact pharma manufacturing?
So we are basically an environment organization. So 170-year-old legacy of treating water and wastewater for all across the manufacturing facilities. And of course, globally, pharmaceutical industries and pharmaceutical manufacturing industries are one of our key focus segments and industries. That is why we take this pride and privilege to be here in, I would probably put it like the Asia's largest pharma event, where we are together here with our customers, partners, and also the contractors or the subcontractors who are working with us in solving the challenges with respect to environment and sustainability. So with Veolia, we specifically talk about two things. Number one, reduce the specific water consumption. Number two, reduce the carbon footprint. These are the two things which are of utmost critical aspect for a substance, for a utility, which is the lifeline of manufacturing. No industry can survive without water, right? And we all know that we are living in a stressed, water-stressed environment and in an orange category of water supply across the globe, right? So we are starved on water. We don't have water even for potable application. So when the industries have higher water-specific water consumption and water footprint, that also directly or indirectly impacts the water which has to be given to the other critical aspects, which is drinking and agriculture. So this is wherein we, being part of technology pioneers in the world, with 400 and plus patented technologies, which every aspect, every unit operation, every integrated job thrive to reduce the specific water consumption by incorporating the available technologies and also invent and come up with the better technology every day. Right, so that is wherein we have started working and we have invented, and globally also it has been proven at various locations. So we have just to quote a couple of examples specific to the pharmaceutical industries. We have made two switches, one on water part and one is on wastewater part. Of course, there are dearth of technologies which we can talk the whole day, whole night, and so on. But we would like to cover only couple of critical technologies, switch, what we call it. One is the water for injection. So we all know that water for injection is governed by US FDA, European Pharmacopoeia, Japanese Pharmacopoeia. Whichever country you are exporting to, you have to comply to the regulatory requirements of that specific country, right? So now with the recent revisions of say from 2019-20 onwards, around the COVID time, the regulation also has given a leverage to use different technology to generate the water for injection, which earlier we used to generate it by doing phase change. Phase change meaning we used to evaporate the purified water to a specific temperature, then condense it and generate a water which is fit for water for injection, which has to go to the injectable, which has to go to the large volume parentals like the saline, right? So that is what it was used historically for the period of like 4 or 5 decades. Now with the new changes in the regulation, the regulatory authorities have also given us a leverage and also a buland darwaza in Hindi terminology, right? So they have given us this particular leeway to have a better technology which has got 40% lesser energy consumption, meaning 40% lesser carbon footprint as well. So this is called the cold WFI. So where we do not do any phase change to convert the purified water into water for injection, whereas we use advanced membrane technology, dual membrane technology to attain all requirements of endotoxin or bioburden, whatever the microbial contamination which passes through the particular system. So that is controlled using a dual membrane technology. This is one of the most beautiful invention what we have come up with. The European market has already adopted it. We have got multiple number of installations in Europe. Indian market is quite picking up. There are inquiries floating. There are consultants and all with whom we are in discussion with to bring this and make it reach the customers who are having a larger footprint with respect to the water for injection. The second switch is on the wastewater, where the evaporators, which is a white elephant to install and operate because it consumes too much of capex in first place to install. At the same time, it has got extremely high amount of steam footprint, meaning it has got extremely high amount of fossil fuel based carbon footprint, because steam is generated from fossil fuels in most of the locations. So now the switch is like we do the evaporation methodology with a cutting edge advanced technology which are manufactured in our own factory called EvaLED. which are absolutely power-driven systems. Mechanical vapor recompression is the methodology or the technology what goes behind in this particular system. So with the MVR coming into picture, what happens is we do not consume even 1 gram of steam. So if the customer is sourcing their energy or power from greener methodologies like renewable sources, wind, solar and all, the entire zero liquid discharge will become zero carbon footprint. That is where, I mean, we initiate this net zero path, or we initiate about say DJSI indexes or whichever sustainability indexes the customer is compliant with. So we try to work with the customer to make them achieve. At the same time, as we are an environmental company, we are compliant to EcoVadis. We also, our environment goes to reduce the carbon footprint. We also achieve this as part of on our organization front as well. So these are the two technologies which I'd like to highlight here, which are exclusive and specifically applicable to the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry.
Roadmap is very clear how Indian pharma sector can attain sustainable manufacturing and reducing carbon footprints. Indian regulations are also, we see very stringent regulations are in place when it comes to usage of water in manufacturing process.
Absolutely.
How do you see that this will leverage a large open demand for your kind of solutions?
So regulatory requirement or the regulatory standpoints are concerned again for two things. One is the source water, one is the wastewater. So fortunately, the Indian regulatory body has mandated a mandatory zero liquid discharge for all pharmaceutical manufacturing. So only in specific clusters like say Ankleshwar, Bharuch and all, where they have a common effluent treatment plant, the customers can actually do a half treatment or a partial treatment and send it to a third party common effluent treatment plant. But whereas in case of the independent land bound manufacturing facilities, so they have to treat all the wastewater in-house and attain zero liquid discharge. There is no second thought, or there is no leeway for any customer like that. So the regulatory requirement is quite stringent, right? So now we are seeing traction from the customer standpoint to reduce their steam footprint, because so far historically for the last 2-3 decades they have been burning steam. They have been because as there was no technology available, or there was no proven technology available. That is the reason customers kept on using steam for their zero liquid discharge systems. That is wherein, I mean, now with the traction being attained from the regulatory standpoint, and also the sustainability goals which are being driven globally from their customers, our customers. So that is wherein they are quite stringent on reducing the carbon footprint. That is where the technology comes into picture, where we can see a very bright growth in this particular market segment as well going further.
It comes along with a cost factor.
Absolutely.
And how you can expect ROI from this kind of solutions for a pharma manufacturing unit?
Of course, I mean, as this, any technology for that matter, it comes with its own cost, right? So it gets justified when we are looking at a sizable treatment system, which is coming from a manufacturer standpoint, when they are quite stressed with respect to the operating part of the budget. So the ROIs can be calculated and can be attained in a span of like 2 to 3 years timeline. So that is where the delta of capital expenditure, what we are looking at, is going to fetch the manufacturing facility with respect to the return on investment, right? So most of the customers, whenever we interact with most of the customers from the specific industry segment, right? So ROI is definitely one part, but they are more stressed with respect to the sustainability goals, because every year they have to express, and they have to again get all their sustainability goals attained in that particular year, and they have to publish it to the shareholders, right? So they are bound to publish that, and they cannot fabricate the data, and that is wherein, I mean, they get quite genuine and try to attain the sustainability goals intact. ROI definitely, as we said, any technology adoption, it will have its own ROI, but in this case we are looking at an ROI of like 2 to 3 years timeline. That is what the customers are going to attain.
Thank you so much for interacting with us.
Thank you so much.